Why is the Force connecting us?
Welcome to the Star Wars podcast where analysis, insight, and shipping come hand in hand.
You're not alone.
Neither are you.
This is the Reylo Alliance.
Hello everyone, welcome once again to the Reylo Alliance. It's so nice to say hi to you, and it's great to be back with all the hosts of the program. Yeah, everyone here, I'm so happy. Finally, all four of us are together recording a podcast again. It's been such a while. So I'll let you guys say hi to the people again. So, hi Grisha, how are you?
I am good. How's everyone?
We'll see. Hi, Fair. How are you? It's been such a long time since we heard you, actually.
Hi, everybody. I
Love
miss so
you.
much the podcast, and me too. And I miss talk to about Reylo more than anything.
Oh yes, that's why we have this podcast actually. And finally, hi Andy. How are you?
Hello, guys. I'm really excited to be here because we've had so many great news and so many stuff about Reylo and so many the stuff about Reylo in places that I didn't know we would get them from. So I can't wait to talk about it because well, if you see the title of the episode, you will know what we're talking about. But I don't know if you want me to explain how this episode is going to work.
Yeah, sure. Please do that.
Okay, guys. So this episode is all about the evidence of that Reylo is going to actually be canon in the next movie from the Skywalker saga, and we actually we wanted to do this topic because there's always been like rumors, and there's always been, I don't know, concerns, or people are getting nervous that it's actually not going to happen because of outside forces, or because I don't know, because we're all in such a state of mind that we just want to be reassured. So we are here to reassure you guys. We are the Reylo Alliance. We got you.
Exactly. I just want to say, whenever like entities get you down or you feel like there's no hope left, you can re-listen to this podcast and realize, oh my God, there's so much more evidence than I remembered, and then you can be happy again. At least that's what helps me. Like, I just go back to the things that we have gotten and be like, oh yeah, so this happened. So like, it has to mean something. So I'm not completely delusional, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, we sometimes are scared that we are delusional, or we are seeing things, but let it be known that we are not. We are completely sane. So how this is going to work? Actually, we have these evidences. We categorize them, and we will divide this episode by sections. First, we will have the outside validations. The outside validations from people that are close to Star Wars, that are working with Star Wars, being actors or crew members or members from the story group. And actually, I don't know, the accounts on the internet. It's basically official things that, well, not official, unofficial things that people in Star Wars have said. Then we have the Last Jedi novelization, because that needs a category by itself.
Of course.
And yes. We have validation from within canon that is not on the movies. This will be I don't know, pieces of music or deleted scenes, all that sort of stuff. And then we have different categories. We have separate categories for things Rian Johnson has said and things J.J. Abrams have said, because, you know, they are the fathers of the ship. And last but not least, we have, finally, we're going to talk about the goddamn Vanity Fair covers and the articles. We're really excited about that one. And that's it.
Awesome. That sounds great. So we can begin with that, shall we? Who wants to start?
Yeah.
Anyone?
Well, I can start.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay, So one of the first things that we had for the validation of Reylo is that in the Star Wars show, actually the Star Wars show has been a really good source of Reylo things. Because they interview people close to Star Wars that are working within Star Wars right now. And one of the story group writers, Ryan Roberts, was interviewed one time there, and she was talking about um, her experience with the cast dance and with J.J. Abrams and with Ryan Johnson and all that stuff. And she said, and this is a quote about Kylo and Rey. It's not in the script, but when Kylo Ray, it's not in the script, but when Kylo Ren peers into Rey's mind, there's something profound that happens between them. The way Larry Kazan used to describe it is that there's this energy between them, like this kind of almost dot dot dot. I don't want to say it, but something a little bit more than you would expect. This is about the interrogation scene in TFA.
Yes,
What do you guys think?
I remember when I watched that video, like I felt like that the Rain Roberts being like when she says I don't want to say it because she's like you don't want to be that person, but this is happening. Something is going on, guys.
Please just say it.
So related to that, like I'm just saying, it's there.
I remember this quote from before, but the person that actually reminded me of it was on Twitter. She commented, "It's L Applecat." She was the one to send this quote.
Okay, if you don't mind, I want to go next.
Yes, of course.
Yes. So this was actually sent to us by Shailene O. But I also the first time I heard it was on a podcast or like I started on a YouTube video, but I think it's a podcast. I don't remember the name of it, but it's a bunch of girls talking about Star Wars like we do. It was like Star Wars, not explain Star Wars universe. I don't remember. I will look it up. But they were talking about Reylo. They're big Reylos in that podcast channel, and they mentioned this, and I was like in awe of this piece of trivia. That when they had people audition for the part of Kylo Ren, like they offered the part to Adam Driver, but in case he didn't accept, they were holding auditions. So whenever you go to auditions, you get as a part of the script, so you can do a scene for the people casting. But thing as Star Wars, especially Force Awakens, was like a very secretive project because they didn't want anything to leak out. They didn't actually give the actors actual pieces of the script. They gave them pieces of other movies or maybe extracts from a book that related somehow to the characters. So the piece of text that they gave the actors trying to auditioning for Kylo Ren was actually from Pride and Prejudice, and this is like one of my favorite pieces of information. Not only because I really love Pride and Prejudice, but I think this really speaks a lot about what they had in mind when they wanted to cast Kylo Ren. It's not like you don't cast a villain with an extract from a romance book. Like that's not how the Force works, and it just says a lot what I think of Kylo Ren. Within
He's Mr. Darth in space.
Yes, he's Mr. Darcy in space. He's a total Byronic hero, and this just speaks a lot about that, and I love it. What do you guys think?
To add something, I remember Eddie Redmayne was actually the one who
Yes.
said that he
Yes.
gave an interview and he said that they gave him a script of Pride and Prejudice for the audition. So he was the one that gave us that piece of information.
God bless Eddie Redmayne for leaking that to the public. So who wants to go next? I think maybe Grisha.
Okay, next we have the Mark Hamill. I think they were with Ryan. They were with
Yeah, they
Ryan
were in an interview with Ryan.
in South by West Festival, and I think they showed the Last Jedi documentary. I don't remember very well, but they had this interview, and he mentioned that Quote, not to mention the big sex scene where the fingers touch. No, that's pretty hot for a Star Wars movie. They never let me touch a finger. Romantic tension between Rey and my naughty nephew, Kylo.
Yeah, that's your interview. The naughty nephew.
I just love it that in that when you see the video, you can just tell that that Mark was about to say sexual tension, but he just kept to himself. It's so romantic.
Also the face he made while he was saying it.
Yeah.
And touching his fingers.
Yeah. Yeah, that man is something. But yeah, so I remember when this interview happened and Twitter blew up with the gift sets and the videos of him saying that about this big sex scene, and that like, yes, thank you, like validation. Like, we're not saying like that scene was meant to be taken as an intimate moment, and what's more intimate, than sex,
Mhm. Okay, so also we've gotten very good quotes from the press tours and all that stuff. I think the next one. Do you want to tackle this, Fair?
I don't remember where Carrie said it because I wasn't the fandom. Carrie
I
said
think I
it.
remember.
Yes, you can help it.
Did I say it?
I think she said that in a Comic Con event or something.
Who
Yeah.
said that?
Carrie Fisher.
Mhm.
They asked
Yeah.
her. A fan asked her something about The Last Jedi. It wasn't even released yet, and she said this.
Okay. Okay. She said,
Yeah.
"My son is an asshole, but Ray is very forgiving." So for me, that's that. Obviously, she said this before the Last Jedi, so she already know like when Kylo is gonna do some stupid shit and she's gonna hurt Ray, but ultimately Ray is gonna forget him. So
Yeah.
well,
And Carrie, sorry, Carrie
Sorry.
Fisher actually, she knew. She really freaking knew because she worked on the Last Jedi.
She actually,
script.
I was going to say that. Let's not forget that she actually helped write the script. Like, she is part of the Last Jedi. Like,
And she has write many scripts also. Like she knows about storytelling. Like
yes, yes, of course. That like, this is like first person information. That if she says this, like, this is something that is meant to be taken from the movie, from the script. Like, if Carrie's saying Ray is very forgiving, then that's something that is meant to be taken into account when you watch this movie.
Also, when TFA was coming out, and well, I think Daisy was the one to say it that Carrie told her, "I'm looking forward to your space kiss because you're going to have one. Every girl does."
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and Carrie knew. Carrie said that, and she didn't say just to tease. She knew.
Yes, I like.
can't wait.
I'm so sad that Carrie's not here with us anymore. Like, imagine like all the things
Oh
that
my
she
god.
would say about the Last Jedi,
The
and
biggest Reylo shipper, honestly.
of course,
Guys. She will
next
be
Ryan Johnson,
and JJ.
yes, and me.
Oh.
Yeah, I love that she refers to it as the space kiss. Like, it's different from a normal kiss. It's a space.
It's a space kiss. Yes.
Okay, so you go next year.
Okay. So now we've had Mark and Carrie. Now we go with Daisy, and it was in an interview as well. And she said something like, they asked her about Ben, about Kylo, and she said she really sees the glimmer in Kylo. There's something good there, and she goes with it. And I think that's pretty wonderful. And I think he is redeemable. Damn. Also, I just want to say that this isn't the only one that this is it. This isn't the only time that Daisy has said that he is redeemable, because in another interview, um, they asked her about it, and I think the interviewer said, "Oh, I think Ray believes in people who might be completely redeemable," and Daisy was like, "Okay, hold up, I don't think so, because I think that Kylo is actually redeemable." So Daisy, the Vendantian warrior, first and foremost.
Redemption warrior.
Of course. Please
Yes, you're
don't
right.
forget that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. It was actually, I think it was a Q&A that was like right after The Last Jedi, or like a couple months after, and I was watching it live. And
Oh
like
wow.
I watched the video, and like it's hilarious to watch, like, because the interviewer, like, bless her heart, but she's like, she's going with the unredeemable Kylo Ren thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
She's talking about how it can be hurtful for Rey to be hopeful on a person who is irredeemable, and like Daisy immediately jumps in, you know, so she's having it, and like it's just funny to see the face of Daisy and the interviewer, like, and this, yeah, I hear you, but no, and I love the way she says glimmer.
Yep.
The dilemma. Okay,
A big
so we have Daisy, and now what has Adam done?
Oh my god, what has Adam Driver, like? Yeah, I love it. I love this next one. Okay, this is a fine piece of entertainment and intrigue famous people. When Adam Driver went on the show of Stephen Colbert, I don't remember the name of the show. I think it's
The
Steven
Colbert
Colbert.
Report.
Oh yeah, that. Sorry,
Mhm.
I always get those kind of shows mixed up. And this is a very famous moment because there's been a lot of gift sets and videos and compilations of these moments. Um, so Stephen Colbert brings out a Kylo Ren and a Rey figurines, and Adam takes the Kylo Ren one, and Stephen takes the Rey one, and they're like playing out a scene. And Stephen is trying to get spoilers out of him, like, tell me what happens in the movie. This is before The Last Jedi. And a way that Adam has to avoid that question, he just goes in and makes the Kylo doll kiss the Rey.
But they full on make out. He made the doll make
They
out.
full on make out, like, in national television. Like, yes, if the actual Reylo kiss in The Rise of Skywalker isn't as this one, I don't want it. Let
It's
His
Adam
just
Driver,
face,
Adam Driver
his
direct.
face when he was doing it, when he was
Yes,
making the doll's kiss,
he
and he was
was so pleased
smiling.
with himself.
yeah, he didn't even think
He
about it. He just went
knows.
for it. Yes, yes,
Mm,
You know what? What else we're missing here? I just
yes.
remembered it. The MTV sketch they did at the movie awards
yes.
with
Oh my
Tiffany
god,
Haddish,
yes.
and she was like,
Yes.
"That praise your girlfriend" or something like that.
Yeah, why did your girlfriend look at me like that,
Yeah,
or something like that? And they kept that. Like Lucasfilm said yes to that.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
I mean,
And also, like, I don't know. There's been a lot of moments where Adam is asked about Ray and Kylo's relationship, and he definitely tries to avoid it, but he
yeah,
can't.
he deserves at the ceiling, like
Yeah.
smile.
I love. I don't know if this is later down the list. I think I don't know if I lost it somewhere. I didn't see it, but there's this one interview, and when they ask him what the future is for Ray and Kylo, and he says, "I really don't know, but for me, it would be all sentimental and obvious." And those
Oh
are
yeah,
that he used,
praise
sentimental and obvious.
that's no one ever talks about that. Like
Yes,
they forget about it, and it's very important.
yes, because like Adam wants it. Like, if
He knows, obviously, and he
Because
knows. I think he knows.
he's the
He's
Reylo,
been new since the beginning.
I don't
I
think
mean,
I don't think he would have. I mean, yes, he would have accepted the role if there was no Reylo involved, because Kylo is on his own, like a very fleshed out character. But I think that Reylo being a possibility is actually like something that he was on board on since the beginning, and I think he's on board with it even now. Like, even after the Rise of Skywalker has already been filmed, and there's nothing we can do about what they have done, but I think he's on board with the Reylo thing. Whatever, whatever it is that happens in the movie. So
I
next
can't
one.
wait for them to ask him in the press tour because there's gonna be a lot of Raylo in this press tour.
oh my
They're
god,
not
I'm
ready.
so
If-
over.
I think we have to make a part two of this after the press tour, because I think there will be a lot more. But before the Rise of Skywalker, of course.
Of course, we're going to make an episode just before the race was over. That's like that's a no-brainer.
Yes, of course. And I think Andrea has done a lot of things, but let's move on from him for now. So who's next? I think it's Grisha.
Okay, the next one it's Time Magazine. I don't remember this article very well, but quote, in one of the movie's finest moments, Ren, unmasked and intense, engages Rey in a major stare down and an unholy duel between the light side of the Force and the dark. The sexual energy between them is strange and unsettling, like a theremin sonata only they can hear. Oh my god, this
Sexual.
writing.
Oh my god, this is like very deep. A theremin sonata only they can hear.
What?
Wow.
This is
And
a
this was
fanfic.
TFA. This
What
was
do you
like.
say?
Yes,
Oh
yes.
my god.
This is from the this is like OG Reylos.
This is like
Yeah.
2015 Reylos.
I
Damn.
remember, I don't know where is it is, but when Kylo and Rey fight, when team up together in the Last Jedi, somebody said, no, somebody said, I think it's canon, that they are very in synchrony, fighting together. So I just related to they fighting each other are also very synchrony to each other.
Yes, definitely.
That's soulmates for you.
Yes, soulmate. Thank you. I
Okay.
really like the wording of that last quote that Grisha read. Like the wording is on point.
I want a tattoo on my body.
Ren, unmasked and intense. Yes, really. That's my favorite kind of Ren. Unholy duo. Wow. Like this is like soft porn right here.
This fanfic writing. Wow, Time
Yes,
Magazine.
it's
You
fanfic
OG
here.
Raylos.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Oh damn. Okay, Fair, you go next.
Oh, okay. Is this interview with Kelly Maritime? Is I think for Disney something
Oh, I
related with
see.
Disney. But I remember she asked Kelly that what do you think? What is it with Ray in Kylo? And Kelly answered Reylo, and she said the interviewer, yes, Reylo.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Kelly, she's obviously Reylo because she knows the name ship, and I think she also gave hints about she having a stand account
And
to
an
Twitter.
account. Yes.
Is that for real?
Like
Yeah,
she
she
said
say
that
that.
she was
She posted on her Insta.
very that she was very active on Twitter and on and Instagram
Oh my
with
god.
the community of Star Wars. So like everyone was like, oh, Kelly is infiltrated. She's among us, but we don't know.
Oh my
She listens to the Reylo Alliance. Kelly, we love you, Reylo.
shout
You're the
out.
best.
No, but talk about an iconic Reylo moment. Like every Reylo has seen this at least this part of the interview, and whenever Star Wars or some company posts something about Rey and Kylo, everyone immediately in the comments is like Reylo,
Reylo?
and
Iconic.
it is iconic.
It's such an iconic mention and iconic gift.
Yes, it's one of my favorite moments.
Yes.
It also reminds me of Judy Dench. Did
Uh-huh.
you guys seen that video?
Yeah, with Daisy.
Yeah, with Daisy. I think they're in the set of a movie,
Uh-huh.
and like they're backstage of they're in a green room or something, and Daisy walks in, and everyone is asking her questions about I think the Last Jedi, and they just turn the camera to Judy Dench, and she's like, "What's the deal with Reylo?"
But Dame Judy Dench, excuse you.
Yes,
The fact that Raylo was so powerful back then, even when The Last Jedi wasn't even released.
yes, the power. Like when big people, and when I say big people, I mean like famous people, like they use the word Reylo.
Really?
That's something. Like you don't hear people say like other ship names a lot, but when they do, it's like, oh my god, they're aware of the existence of this.
Mhm. And she isn't even part of Star Wars. It's just amazing. It's Dame Judy Dench. She has won Oscars, and it's like, oh my god, I can't believe this.
Yeah.
You know what else? What else is missing here?
But
Mhm.
Like when they asked it in the Star Wars Celebration panel about Raylo,
Uh-huh.
supposedly, and then they talk about Adam's chest.
He's a
uh,
big Man.
He's a big man.
And what?
Also, do you remember? I don't see it also in the list. But there's this interview with Ellen DeGeneres like way back before The Force
Oh
Awakens
yeah.
came out, and it's with Oscar Isaac, with Daisy Ridley and John Boyega, and they're all on the couch, and Ellen asks them if there's romance in the movie for them, and both Oscar and John say no, and she asks Daisy, "What about you?" And she says, "We'll see." And like,
Uh,
and
We'll see in the future.
she just says, "We'll see," but you know, like you just do the math. If both Oscar and John Boyega said that their characters had no romance in the movie, then they cannot be the love interests. And
So Ray is going to end up with Rose.
yeah, but this was for the weekend. Like
No, I know.
So like you just do the math. Who's left? Like obviously not Chewbacca or you know. I was gonna say Holdo, but Holdo was not in this movie. Like Connex, it's not gonna be Connex, of course. Who's left? Who shares screen time with Ray that is not Oscar? I mean, Poe or Finn? It's Kylo. So I'm just saying, putting it out there.
Yeah.
So let's
Okay.
move on to the next one. So you go, Andy.
Yes, there are a lot of things in the Star Wars databank that this is like official Star Wars that have hinted to Reylo. This is in the Kylo Ren biography, and it says Rey took up Skywalker's saber. Rejecting Kylo's invitation to show her the ways of the Force, she attacked him, and Kylo found he was no match for her power and rage. Rey defeated him, and Kylo escaped Starkiller Base before its destruction. He sensed his destiny and race were somehow intertwined, but how?
Hmm.
Star Wars lovers? I don't know.
soulmate.
Okay.
Yeah, and the second one is second quote is Snoke warned Kylo that there had been an awakening in the Force, and his apprentice would face a test when he confronted his father. Kylo swore his loyalties were only to Snoke, but he was intrigued when he captured Rey, a Jakku scavenger. Okay, so his loyalties were with Snoke, and when he captured Rey, everything changed. Why is that? We will never know, I guess.
Nah.
Not important.
Not important. Just yeah. I was gonna say something, but I didn't find the word.
It's obviously, guys, because they're related. Obviously.
Oh my
Duh. They're
Yeah.
brothers.
when
They're
when
siblings.
says his and Rey's destinies were somehow intertwined, of course that means that they're twins. They're twins
Of course.
that Han and Leia forgot that she was that Leia was pregnant for other 10 years before she
Yeah.
gave to Rey, and then they just abandoned her in the desert. Of course, that's what happens. If you can sense it, I'm being sarcastic. Of course, that's not what happens. Like it just baffles me that people still think that they're related. Like,
Yeah.
can we just stop beating a dead horse? But anyway, I love that these are actually from like this is not something that a fan wrote. You know, this is actual pieces of canon information given to us from the Star Wars data bank. And if you go to the Star Wars data bank right now, you can read it from there. So like this is official, guys. Okay, so we can move on to the next one.
Yep.
Okay, the next one
Yeah.
is
Yeah. Can I say it? Can I say it?
well, if you want to.
I really wanted to say it. So this involves Adam again. Adam doing shenanigans again, and this is a very piece of information that I don't remember where it came from, but
I think it was an interview.
sorry.
An interview after the last Jedi came out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it was.
basically, when they were shooting the hot scene, when Rey and Kylo touch fingers through the Force, Adam Driver turned to the director Ryan Johnson, and he asked him if he had even ever kissed a girl. And you know that may not seem like a lot, but if you look at it, it actually means a lot, because then you are
Why is it important?
sorry.
It's just that it is an important piece of information. Why is it important? Why is his love life
Yeah, why is it like
important?
why is he talking about romantic love if the scene wasn't allowed to be read as a romantic scene, then he wouldn't have asked that question, you know? Obviously he in his mind was he's touching hands with a girl, and this of course has to mean something to him. So that's what actually led him to think, wait, so has he actually ever kissed a girl? Has he been in love? Has he had this kind of experience before? And I think that's are very important questions to ask. But you wouldn't be asking them if you weren't meant to be playing, you know, a romance or a romantic scene.
Also, Adam is like, I don't know, he's this type of an actor, like he needs to know his stuff. He's
Yeah.
very professional. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
needs to get into the deep psychological roots of his character.
Exactly.
And I love that
The
Ryan.
only thing that comes to my head why Adam asked that to Ryan is because Ryan was directing Stacy and Adam as a romantic scene. So he's like, okay, have I kissed a girl before?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And I love that Ryan's response was maybe playing spin lightsaber
Yeah.
Maybe.
in
I
Jedi.
need someone to just like draw that image.
Yeah, I think maybe someone has already done it. Like,
Oh.
if
Okay.
not, someone please do it. Next.
Gracias.
Okay, Jason Fried said in that podcast, and quote, lots of fan asses, it has a potential romance, and maybe that's ultimately what it will be. I have no idea. Certainly the famous scene in the hot verges on that, but we fall back on romance because it's the best analogy we have. Rey and Kylo's relationship is more intimate than that. They literally been in each other's minds. Rey seeing his deepest fears, he's in the past she's buried. None of us have had that experience. My point is romance may not be the end point of that, though it may be. The analog may be misleading because it's an analog. Their connection is deeper and stranger and far more complicated.
Oof.
I think it's what we always think, that Rey and Kylo is more than a romance. They're deeply connected.
I actually don't know how I will phrase it better because, as he said,
Hmm?
it is coded romantic, and people say it's a romance, and it is read as a romance because there is, in our society, in our minds, there is nothing deeper than that. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
like
when you have these two powerful Force users united by the freaking Force, of course it's going to be something bigger, but of course it's in essence it's romantic.
yeah, because we don't have like an actual like force, and we can actually be connected by the force with someone. So we can't actually wrap our minds and our heads around that concept. Like, what does that actually mean? But like, as Jason says, the closest thing that we can bring it to is a romance, because that's essentially what you do with another person when you're in love, when you have like a deep connection with someone. You basically are connected through something that you don't see, some like powerful untouchable force, and that's why we code this relationship between Rey and Kylo as romantic. And I like, he says that he doesn't know if it will end up romantically explicitly in the movie, but at least like it's a fair assessment to do, to compare them to a romance, because that's basically like the closest thing that we can bring it to.
I love this.
Yeah, I love that. Like, he was very diplomatic about it. Like, he's saying like, I don't know, but it makes sense.
I don't know if they are
Yes,
a
but
couple, but
no.
they were soulmates and they love each other forever. Okay, guys, can I take this one, please? Can I
Okay.
take this next one? Okay,
Go on.
this is because this is such a, I think this is on the stretch, but I find it funny, and because Galaxy's Edge had its, I think, inauguration ceremony or celebration ceremony or something yesterday, just yesterday, was in the 29th of May. Bob Iger came to stage and he said, "Oh, Star Wars is this epic a space opera, and it's an adventure, and it's a romantic fantasy. So to all of the people that say, "Oh, okay, so Star Wars is not for romance, so of course they're not going to end up together," I'm just saying that Daddy Bob Iger, the father of Disney, well, not father, boss, the head of this, yeah, Gracia's boss, and the person who owns the world, including us, just said that. His opinion is not important, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I love that relation because there's been some discourse on Twitter lately that Star Wars is not about romance and Star Wars is not about romantic love, and I say BS on that because like every
Did you watch the prequels?
yes, did you even prequel, man?
Darth Vader became Darth Vader because of romantic love.
Yeah, and Ben Solo was born out of romantic love. You know, you can't take romantic love out of a person. You know, out of Star Wars. Sorry, I didn't mean. You can't you can't take romantic love out of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And if you say, "Oh no, there's no place for it in this franchise," then you are wrong, and you have been very blind, my friend. Further, you want to talk to us a little bit about the Twitter fan base that Reylo has?
Yeah. Well, the next point is about some validation we have for brands, famous brands, and one of them is Waffle House.
Mm-hmm.
And there is balance between the chocolate and peanut butter bond corresponded together as they're made. A waffle for the rain.
The hashtag Reylos.
Again, with the Reylo, like with the using the word Reylo, you know, I love it, and I love Waffle House. And if you don't know, like, of course, maybe you're a lot, but they have like this thing with the Reylos. Like Waffle House is the restaurant, the official Reylo restaurant, because they have given us so much validation, and they have a deep friendship with with one of a Reylo girl on Twitter, and it's a very wholesome thing, you know.
Actually, this is not only important because of the brand. It's just because the Star Wars official account actually replied to them, and it's just like, oh, okay, it's an outside brand. They don't matter because the official Star Wars Twitter account responded that truly this is an all-star special tweet, and they reply with the gif of Kylo extending his hand. Yeah. And this isn't the only time that the account has done that. How is the next image for?
Yeah. This one is for Star Wars account Twitter Latin America. Is okay. Si put it Spanish, a veces la fuerza te une con el adversario, but it translates sometimes the force unites you with the adversary. When an irrelevant image. So she
Yes. Them touch fingers. Yes.
Well, Star Wars Latin America finally doing something right.
Yeah.
I think there's been a couple times where like Star Wars from another countries, like their accounts from another countries, they have some Reylo thing going on. I don't remember what it was, but I remember seeing some of that like lately. I think it was Star Wars Italy or something. But this is a very good one. Like I don't know who asked them to do this post. I don't know if the community manager is one who comes up with them, but I really love that they are giving Reylo a spot.
Latin America representing.
Yeah, and the next one it is from Star Wars, the official Star Wars international account on Twitter, and I really laughed out loud when I read this one. Fair, do you want to say it?
What is your favorite cheat for the land? And on after that, Rey and Kylo don't count. So the official page of Star Wars addresses Reylo as a cheat.
Sorry.
It was like after the last Jedi came out, like
this came out like in January.
Yeah. So we're like validation, yes.
No, not in January. I think this came out in.
No, it was in January.
No, it's in December. No,
it was January.
Oh, okay.
It was January.
I remember it was after The Last Jedi because I didn't really use Twitter before The Last Jedi. Or after Jedi, like I remember seeing this tweet like in my feed, and I was
I
like,
remember
what the?
remember I replied something and they faved my tweet.
Yes.
I was like, what?
Ah,
So what's next?
Okay, so this is from a magazine, and they are actually talking about the romance. And it says, this is for The Last Jedi. Rose may indeed be a wedge between Finn and Rey, but our heroine is herself busy finding her passionate link with Kylo Ren. This is so on the nose. I love it.
Passionate. Ugh.
Passionate. Oh my god,
I
it's
just
like,
love-
okay, don't worry about Finn Rey. Like,
Yeah.
oh my
Yeah, I
God.
love how tongue in cheek this was. Like, who cares about Finn Ray? Like, Reylo is very sad.
I don't know her.
Finn Ray, I don't know her.
Ray is too busy right now. Thank you.
Finn has Rose. He'll be fine.
Okay, so we can start with the TLJ novelization. This is a gold mine for Reylo things, but if we can just put the whole book here. So we're just going to stay with some quotes. Okay, the first quote that we got is, this is when Rey ships herself to Kylo's Star Destroyer. Okay, this is, the stormtroopers behind him stood ready, but he just smiled at the sight of Rey climbing to the pod's tight confines. His smile faded at the sight of his uncle's lightsaber. Okay.
We were robbed. We were robbed
What?
of
We were
that
so
timer
robbed.
smile.
I need that scene.
Yeah,
I
because
do.
if you read this before, some lines before, they actually smile and they actually like have a little bit of a banter that, oh, that's mine. Oh, but no, but it's such like a romantic comedy, and I kind of see why they took that out because it was too much. I think it will be too much.
It would have been on the nose, yes, but I wouldn't have cared. I would have loved that scene because he's like, that belongs to me, and Ray just grabs it tighter. They're talking about the lightsaber, and she goes, "Come get it."
Oh
And-
my god!
And then he smiles and he's like, "You're in no position to dictate." So the next one is a very short one, and I don't really remember.
This was after the battle. This was after the battle in the throne room.
Okay, so it says, Kylo's triggering emotions weren't just about himself; they were also about her.
This is from Ray's point of view.
Oh, okay, yeah. So the thing is that Ray is feeling. She literally feels what he feels, and when she's trying to understand what he's thinking and what he's feeling in this moment, she realizes that he's not only thinking about himself, that he's not only worried about his own thing going on, he's also thinking about, her. Why is she thinking about her? Because she's his sister, of course. The next quote is, after Kylo wakes up in Snoke's throne room following his fight with Rey, he knows that Rey left him alive, almost as if she cared for him. Oh my heart!
I just love it because this is so emo. He's like,
They're so
I'm a
dramatic.
monster, as if she cared for me. If only that
Beauty
was
to Beast.
possible.
How can that be? Like, this is such a beast moment, a Beauty and the Beast moment.
To be
like,
honest.
almost as if she cared. I love it. I love my emo prince. My emo prince. Go, Grisha. I interrupted, but you go ahead with the next one.
Okay.
And this is from actual validation from within canon. Or
But yeah, we go to.
This is a scene that exists. Okay, I remembered when this came out, like I was saying, I think someone uploaded on Tumblr. It is in the Last Jedi documentary, and it's, you were going to lose yourself to the dark side to a pair of pretty eyes.
Oof.
But they cut it because it was too obvious. I can't believe it.
Again with the
yeah.
Oh, that would have been such an epic moment.
Why, Ryan? Why?
We're like, go for it, man. Don't be afraid.
It would have been too much as well. I see
I
what
think
it is.
I don't care.
There's so many scenes in The Last Jedi that were cut that they were too much, Reylo. I don't know why they did that.
I don't know if they had kept them there, maybe people would be more aware of really more accepting of it. But at the same time, I think that actually taking them out were wise like storytelling decisions because maybe it would have been they were a little too forced or too forward or too much for the time being. I think they needed to establish their relationship a little bit more before that.
Yeah. Also, I think they didn't want to. I mean, they already put Luke in a very unflattering light in this movie, and maybe this quote could have been misinterpreted, and maybe some people would have been like, "Oh, he is belittling her because of her things,"
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I think that would have sat wrong with some
Yes.
people. Maybe if this wasn't actually a deleted scene and we would have gone in the movie, maybe we would be like, look, are you like? It feels a lot of like those comments like, oh, are you in your period or something? Like it feels like that a little bit. But yeah, like I get why they cut it, but
I like it that it exists and it's actually recorded.
yes, like
because they kept it to the last minute.
it is validation that you are meant to be taken, her relationship with him as something, romantic and passionate, as they put it.
Next one. If for the Force Weekend, also another later scene where Snoke goes to Kylo, you have compassion for her, referring to Rey.
Yes, and as we know, compassion
And
is a synonym for true love, as Anakin Skywalker wisely says in Attack of the Clones.
This is 2015 OG Reylo stuff. This is the only bread we got.
Food.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I think it was wasn't this scene like in the novel? Like it was cut from the movie, but it was actually in the novel.
It was in the novel. I remember that.
Every
It's in the-
YouTube editor was using this
Yeah.
this voice, this
And-
It's in the
voiceover.
audiobook.
Like he says, you have compassion for her, and he goes, her, an enemy of the order, never. And
Please.
2 seconds later, and he's offering her to be his teacher. Amazing.
And just one day later, he's offering her the galaxy.
Like 1 week later, he's giving her the galaxy. Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay, so now we have another special team validating from within canon, within official Star Wars stuff, and this is, I wouldn't call it a stretch because it's artistic. This is the covers from the art books. Well, the cover for The Rise of Skywalker for the art book just came out, and this is important because we have in The Force Awakens we have Kylo on the cover. In The Last Jedi, we have Rey on the cover. And on The Rise of Skywalker, in the culmination of the story, we have Kylo and Rey. They're actually fighting, but not quite fighting. I mean, their lightsabers are, I don't know, engaged. This is just amazing how Rey is in the darker side and Kylo is in the brighter side. And I don't know, some people actually have turned the image around and it looks like the Jedi symbol. That I see that kind of as a stretch. But everything in Star Wars has a meaning. Everything in Star Wars has something behind it. So it just makes me really hopeful because they wouldn't have this if Kylo wasn't going to be a major role, wouldn't play a major role and be redeemed in this last movie.
Yes, and there are 2 halves of the protagonist, so it makes sense. Like each of them got a cover on their own, and then for the last one, they're in the cover together. And I love the color palette. I love how like the color of their backgrounds is paralleled, and Rey has a red background that parallels Kylo's red lightsaber, and on the other hand, Kylo has a blue background that parallels Rey's blue lightsaber, and or things like that. I don't remember exactly what the colors are in order, but it's a yin and yang symbol basically. It's poetic.
It's very beautiful. I can't wait to see that in the movie. Like
Yeah.
it's probably gonna be in the movie at some point.
Yeah.
Well, the last 2 have been in the movie, but sort of like a concept. It's a concept. So maybe not the same, but they're definitely going to fight. I mean, there is no discussion there. I think we all know they're going to fight at some point.
Yeah.
But it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be poetic, and it will rhyme.
Yes.
And romantic.
Of course, romantic. Well, how else? Yes.
Next one, because I really like this one. So John Williams actually inserted several notes of the love theme from Tchaikovsky's Romeo and Juliet overture into the exact moment when Kylo carries Rey bridal style over the threshold of his ship in The Force Awakens. So if you don't, you can place the Romeo and Juliet overture. It's like this very, like a very romantic love theme that you hear on every movie or comedy sketch when two people fall in love. Like it's very on your nose. And if you listen and you go back to that scene when Kylo takes Rey into his ship, and you hear the music, when he's literally stepping into his ship, you hear the music kind of elevating, and it really sounds like Romeo and Juliet. And it was something that John Williams deliberately did, and he did a lot with the sound, with the scores for each of them. And there's a lot of interesting things there also.
Yeah, I actually think you can continue with this one because it's all about the music.
Okay, with the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so if you didn't know, you can actually hear a little bit of Across the Stars when Rey and Kylo touch hands in the hot scene in The Last Jedi. You don't actually hear the full songs, but if you listen to it carefully, you hear like the notes, like the very distinctive notes from Across the Stars, and it is beautiful. Like when I found that information, like I went back to the scene and I listened to it, and I was like, oh my god! Like Across the Stars is the love theme for Anakin and Padme, and we have talked about this in the podcast that Anakin and Padme are somehow, reincarnation. I mean, sorry, the other way around. Rey and Kylo are kind of metaphorical reincarnations of Padme and Anakin, and they're like, they're here to finish what they started, basically. And there's a lot of parallels between them. And I just think that the fact that we can hear Across the Stars in such an intimate moment for them, it talks a lot about what they think the relationship is like.
Also, to add, like, remember this new information that came up? Like
What?
the one about the French magazine. I don't know if you see it.
No, what is it?
That Ryan says in that interview that when John Williams wrote the music for the hot scene, the composer, John, was initially very protective of Rey, like Luke, and created an ominous theme, making Kylo a threat. But Ryan requested that he change it because it wasn't how he had envisioned it and written the scene. Ryan wanted the audience to believe a romance was possible.
Of course, Ryan said Reylo writes other.
I love it how John was like, okay, so he's a threat, and Ryan was, oh no, he
No.
maybe the possibility of romance. Okay,
there's
so the love theme of Anakin and Padme, great, I'll put it there.
Yes. I think he didn't have time to come up with anything else. Like, you'll throw this in there.
John has no chill though. There's a bit to it with him.
Yeah.
So actually, with the music stuff, actually, people have done comparisons and have placed Ray and Kylo's team together and have, I don't know, made analysis about them. I don't know about music, but when you hear those analyses, they're really, really interesting because actually the notes complement each other. And I think if you reverse one of the tracks, they actually are really, really, really similar.
So next thing, Grisha, do you want to start with the Ryan Jensen archive of Reylo validation?
I think this was also in the South by West Festival, in the same interview that Mark said something about the fingers. I don't remember very well. But Ryan said in this occasion, those fingers touching is the closest thing we'll ever get to a sex scene in Star Wars. What?
Uh, I think it's a beautiful moment in all of our Reylo's lives when he said that.
I can't believe the
Confirmation,
rated R.
director, the guy who wrote and directed the movie is telling us based on that the scene is meant to be taken as an intimate sexual like encounter. So Reylos, we keep winning.
Like everyone tells us things because we see some sexual undertones in The Last Jedi, but
Yeah,
creators
but
have
he just
said
said
this thing
it.
of
He just said it. It's right there. Like, yeah, I also
right
saw
there. Like
that
just look it up.
Twitter, like, oh, Reylos, they just want to make Star Wars sexual when it wasn't sexual in the past, which, like, yes, because it's everything, like, sex has been a part of Star Wars, like even if you didn't see it before, starting with Leia in that slave princess outfit. Um, but yeah, so like Reylos are not doing something out of the ordinary by drawing comparisons between the Last Jedi scenes and some sexual undertones. We've done in this podcast. We have a full episode dedicated to that, and it's good reason. When you're making a movie, you don't just do it and don't research anything. If you put something in the movie, you are taking symbolism and you are using symbols to try to tell something, and you are meant to read those symbols and interpret them, and maybe you don't interpret them the same way as another person, but that doesn't mean that the symbols cannot be read in this case in a sexual matter. So, and there goes Ryan Johnson telling us that yes, it is bad. So fair, you go next.
From his point of view, it's a very naked, open, emotional play. In his version of I just a girl standing in front of a guy asking him to love her. This is talking about, I think, the it's Ryan talking about the scene, the drone scene. It's Kylo's sick, evil version of that, but from his perspective. And I think it's like a kind of the declaration for all the people who thought the the Trump scene was like a kind of manipulation from Kylo to Rey.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's not manipulation because maybe it's not the right way to say the words. Maybe it's not the right moment, but it's his way to say, I just ask it to you to stay with me.
Sorry, this was
Sorry.
actually sent to us by @daily_Reylo, so thank you.
I just say that yeah, this is really important for me because actually I could see when I first watched the Last Jedi, I can see the point that people are making. I could see that oh, why is he saying this? This is like you're nothing but not to me. It's a straight up manipulation, all of that stuff. I didn't see it at that extreme, but I can see where people are coming from. So watching this and understanding Kylo Ren's psychology and how maybe he's never kissed a girl before, and because he's been so reclusive this past maybe 10 years or more, and all of his life he didn't have really meaningful interactions with people, and I can understand that more. And having this revealed by the director and the man who wrote it, and actually we have his true intentions here is really really important for me. I still have I
And
love that quote, but I still kind of have a grudge with the way that it came across because this is a line that a lot of people have used against Kylo and against Reylo and against us because apparently we don't know what abuse is. Okay, but we have this. I mean, this is what we wanted to. This is why one of the reasons that we wanted to do this because this is an evidence that it is not that. It is actually, this really really maybe wrong way to say it, but it's basically like in Notting Hill, I'm just a girl instead in front of a guy asking him to love her. And this is Mr. Darcy in space. Of course, he's going to fuck up.
Yes, that's the thing.
That's his friend.
Mr. Darcy is a jackass in Pride and Prejudice. He's an asshole. But that's the thing. Like he learns and he actually grows from his experience and by knowing Elizabeth, and that's what's happening here.
To have a redemption story, you have to be an asshole
Yeah,
first.
fuck up. Yeah, he needs to do bad things before he can be redeemed. Because if not, then like you're not being redeemed of anything. Yeah. And yeah, and I totally get it. I totally get why people kind of like feel about the way that he puts it, but I never like. I think I got it from the first time I saw the movie that okay, so this is wrong. He's saying things that he shouldn't be saying, but that's the thing. He doesn't know. He doesn't know that he's fucking it up. He doesn't know that he shouldn't say those things, and he doesn't know that it's wrong.
Because people just wanted to cancel him before.
Yeah. And it's like I don't want to say that it's not his fault, but he has definitely been manipulated himself, and so you have to give the man a chance to get out of that and understand and grow from that. And yeah, and I really appreciate that Ryan uh, explained kind of like what he meant, what he thinks Kylo meant in that moment. And yeah, so yeah, we can move on.
Yes.
Go dear.
Yes.
That's
This is something that I love and I appreciate so much. And whenever I have my doubts, I come back to this quote. So this is a video from a fan that was asking an autograph from Ryan, and I think she handed him a Reylo fan art, and he responded with, "Oh, you're Reylo? It's only the movie." This is iconic.
I remember this,
iconic.
yeah.
There are pins and stickers with this quote.
Yes, I also remember when this came out. Like I remember seeing the video on Instagram first. Like I squealed when I heard that, and like, oh, because Ryan sounds so excited when the girl, I think the girl actually tells him like, oh, we're Reylo fans, and he's like, oh, you're Reylo fans, oh, well, it's all in the movie, and like you can tell that he's very excited that
People picked up on that.
yeah, that people are like it's coming across, like his intentions were coming across, and I love that. And also there's also another video of another fan that gave him a radio pin, and that he took it, and he was very excited about it too.
Of course he
What I love about Ryan is because is when he said that to the girl, oh, it's one of the movie. It's that in the beginning, and then he goes with, oh, it's the closest thing to sets. Like he was very careful when he's sharing with the fans. And then he was with that with the touching heads is the closest thing to a set scene. That's where I love him.
Yeah, we love. All right, we stand Ryan Johnson in this house.
Yeah.
So the next one, I'm gonna read this because I don't know where this is from.
Vanity Fair. It's from
Okay.
Vanity Fair.
So it's from an interview with Vanity Fair.
Yeah, when the last Jedi.
Yeah, from the Last Jedi days, and the
It
interviewer.
was very dramatic.
Okay. The interviewer says, in this new work, is there a romantic element? Additionally, what points are the highlights of the movie? And Ryan answered, it is certainly true that there is a romantic drama, but there is nothing the same as the two lovers of Han and Leia this time. Haha.
Haha.
Haha. Well, but we got confirmation that there's romantic drama, so there it is.
And there's not only there is not only going to be romantic drama in Rise of Skywalker, is that in The Last Jedi there was already dramatic drama.
So we're done with Ryan Johnson. He has, I think, more quotes, but we leave it at that, and we're gonna jump into the J.J. Abrams archive.
JJ.
So
The OG.
Like
the
that.
OG Reylo. Grisha starts off with J.J. Abrams and the Force Awakens commentary.
This is from the Force Awakens commentary. I actually have seen the Force Awakens with the commentary, and I recommend it. If you haven't done it, please do it, because it has a lot of Reylo shenanigans. And one of those is, quote, one of the new relationships that we were focusing on was between Kylo Ren and Rey. I think it was, also said it in the Force Awakens documentary. I don't know if you guys remember, if you have seen it.
No.
He also said that there. Like everyone that works in the documentary and the movie have said that there.
Yeah. Also from Force Awakens commentary is Kylo Ren, a character who she's going to have a very interesting relationship with moving forward.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I think this is
Very interesting.
I think this is when they first meet in the forest, and he goes like, "Oh, this is where she meets him," and to make the point that yes, this movie is about them, and their relationship is something that we want to look into, and we want to explore, and we want the people to talk about, and yeah. So the next one, do you want to read it?
Okay, so they are in the forest, and JJ says, so the idea here is that Kylo Ren's got an insider Rey's head. Sees that she has seen the map and is now letting go of the droid as his goal and focusing just on her. And clearly you think, well, he must be able to just extract the information he wants now. But because he's taking her, you get a sense that there might be something else going on here.
I love that.
Yeah, because a lot of people one of the things that we see is that, oh my God, the bridal carry-in, and he cared for her. That he saw her and he was okay. Don't mind the droid. I want to take this girl home, and we'll. I don't know. We'll see it as an evidence for Reylo, and people can make the argument of, oh no, it was just some strategy, or he took her. He's of course going to hurt her, but here we have JJ saying that he took her for some other reason, not just because it was more convenient. Because it's definitely no more practical than looking for the droid. It's definitely more difficult to extract the memories from a person than a droid.
And also, he didn't have to carry her. Like, he could have gone to do that for him, but he took the time to actually carry her by himself. So you kind of get the sense that it's not really like there's something more there than just getting the map. So I'm gonna read the next ones because they're kind of falling to the same thing. And it's now we are talking about the interrogation scene, and here he puts it as like this. The torture scene was the audition scene that Daisy did the second time that she came to read for the movie. But when his mask comes off, you see Adam Driver, and he just looks like sort of a prince. And doesn't he? Doesn't he? Like,
because I think
his cheeks, his lips, his eyes, he's definitely like a prince.
He said something about that he looks like a dark prince. So do you expect a monster? This is definitely something you wouldn't expect.
Yeah. I'm gonna read the next one because it kind of falls into the same thing also. It goes, J.J. Abrams referred to Star Wars as a fairy tale, calling out but Kylo as a prince and the duo's interesting relationship moving forward. And, he also mentions that, Maz Kanata's castle, like that's a castle, and when you are talking about a fairy tale, you get a prince and a princess and a castle. So you have the castle, which is Maz's castle, you get a prince, Kylo, and then the princess, well, you do the math. Who else can be the princess if not Rey? And yeah. To finish with the evidence gathering, let's talk about what we are here to talk about. Honestly, recently Vanity Fair released their covers for the Rise of Skywalker, special, and lo and behold, the covers are Rey and Kylo Ren. Who not? And it's pretty much also with a bunch of really interesting things. But you want to talk about the covers a little bit because they're kind of interesting. Because I think what I see in the covers is that Kylo, he's facing to his left, to our right, and he has this wind blowing his hair and his clothes, and you kind of see him in sunset in the desert, and then you have Race, and she's all white and with a wind blowing her clothes, and she's in a desert also, and her side is more like a what do you call a break dawn? A dawn? Yeah, dawn. You see that they complement each other, and it's just one picture, like it was a 360 like photo, and I think they're very beautiful covers. I don't know what you guys think about them.
I still can't believe that we had this. I mean, I do because they are the protagonists of the saga, but of this trilogy. But oh my god, I still can't believe it is so. It's so obvious. It is so obvious. I can't believe it.
He looks like honestly, talking about princess, he looks like a total prince.
He looks like a prince, like a hero.
Yeah, there was this part of one of the interviews. I don't know who it was that called the relationship between them, that like the closest thing that we have to star-crossed lovers in this trilogy. I don't know who said that, but kudos to them because yes, star-crossed lovers. How else can you put it? How else can you put the relationship between them? I think it's a very on point definition for them, and I'm really happy that we have the confirmation that the people making it also see it that way. Any of you wants to read the quote that's below the star-crossed?
Yeah. It says, a source close to the movie says that Kylo Ren and Rey's first connection will turn out to run even deeper than we thought. Uh, for lack of any more obvious Anakin, Padme, or Han or Leia type romance in the trilogy. Uh, fans have latched onto Kylo and Rey as potential Skywalker lovers with apart by opposite sides of the Force.
I love that they they say that the relationship, the force connection between them, runs deeper than we thought, and I'm like, son, I already think that it's pretty
How
deep.
about it can be?
How deeper can it get? You know, like
I mean,
I
yeah.
have no idea. Like
This was made for the locals that don't know that they're in love because
I think so too, because you know, as Reylos, we go like, how deeper can it get? You know, they're already like soulmates. They're so connected. How can you get more deep than that? But I think it's definitely for people that are kind of elusive. They don't pay attention to those sort of cues, and when the movie comes out, you'll be like, oh, force connection that is deeper. Oh, it's a romance. It's love, and yeah, woohoo. We have been saying it since 2015. Okay.
yeah. Actually, this is not here, but the editor, I don't know, it's a writer. One of them tweeted that, oh, actually, if you look at the covers, they have a hidden meaning. And for me, it was like, okay, so the hidden meaning is that they're in love or what?
Yeah.
That's not really hidden for me.
I thought so too. Like, I quote tweeted that tweet, and I was like, "It's Reylo."
That's the hidden meaning. It's real.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
also like it that they actually acknowledge us that fans have latched onto Kylo and Rey as potential Star Wars lovers. I mean, they try to remain civil and they try not to make spoilers, which I respect. Vanity Fair, you do you.
Do you want to read the next quote?
Yes, I like to read the next quote. This is also talking about the fans. It says, unlike some potential romances that have preoccupied fans, the Kylo and Rey relationship has gotten plenty of support from inside the Star Wars production team. This is the whole episode. This is our whole episode.
Yes.
They're basically saying, Reylos do not fret, because we have all of this evidence here.
Vanity Fair said Reylo right. I love it.
Intellectuals, only intellectuals.
I love that. Like, this is like deep. Like, this is full on confirmation that the people working in the movie are actual Reylos. Like, it's not just a bunch of them. Like, a lot of them are Reylos.
I actually don't think that they are Reylos. It's just that they know how the story goes. You know, it's not like they're taking a political standpoint or something.
No,
it's
but
just, oh yeah, this happens.
They say that the relationship has gotten plenty of support from inside the Star Wars production team.
Oh well, yeah.
That when you support a couple, you ship it.
Okay, yeah. Okay. I see your point.
I'm gonna read the next quote, and we're almost done. This is an Adam Driver quote. Driver adds that the character had been forging this maybe bond with Rey. The Last Jedi ends with a question in the air. Is he going to pursue that relationship more, or when the door of her ship goes up, does that also close that camaraderie? But I love that he refers to it as camaraderie, like, son, we know what you're doing.
Boy.
I'm not fooled by your poor choice of words. That's not. I don't touch hands intimately with a comrade, you know. And I also
like platonic finger touching.
Platonic finger touch. I also love that he puts it. Is he gonna pursue that relationship? Like,
Just such romantic stuff.
I just love Adam talking about Reylo. Like,
Me too.
never
Because
in
when he
wildest
does
dreams.
it, he goes for it.
I hope that when Rise of Skywalker finally comes out, and you know it's already, you know, Reylo is canon and everybody knows it, then people will ask him again about Reylo.
Oh my god, I can't wait.
He can be free to say whatever he wants, and he'll be like,
I'm just waiting for it because in the Rebels panel, Dave Filoni was like, because Dave Filoni, you know, he's really like, he doesn't let the spoilers go and leaks at all. So he was like, okay, basically, finally, I have a complete thing. I can finally talk about it. I just want that for the whole saga, because all the secrecy is killing me.
Yes, I know.
I just want it to be out so people can talk.
Fer, do you want to read the next quote, please?
We Kylo Ren already reports their own connection. If they do, we be love or simple friendship that names them. The answers, Adam says, is incredibly complicated. I don't think it's any of one of them. The strength is what Ryan Johnson wrote or what J.J. Abrams wrote is never all one thing. What I love about this is the question is like, okay, if no they are enemies or lovers, it also moving forward to friends and lovers. So you only have to choose if the two of them are good for me.
Yeah.
Because that's basically what everybody has been saying is that, okay, it is love, but it's even deeper than romantic love. It's even deeper than that. It's definitely not platonic.
Yeah.
Like people say, okay, maybe if Ben redeems himself, I can pass that Reylo is not explicit. But when you have Last Jedi and when you have all of this, you can make Reylo platonic. I mean, at least for me, that can happen.
You have
that is not good storytelling.
Yeah.
That force connection.
I mean, for the locals to get used to it in terms of love, like, okay, there are enemies, then there are friends, and then they are lovers,
Yeah, definitely. But when you have a force connection, I was trying to say, when you have a force connection with someone, you can just be friends with them, you actually feel what they are feeling, and you get visions of them, and you can force project yourself to where they are. It's a very, very intimate thing. So like, I can't imagine a platonic force connection like that. I don't know if it would work even. So that was it, guys. That's all the evidence that we have gathered. I'm pretty sure that there's like more things that we missed. So if we miss any evidence that you remember, then you can send us a message or a tweet or an email, and you can send that to us, and we will try to read that the next podcast, or maybe we will give you a shout out on Twitter. But yeah, so what do you guys think? So is Reylo canon or not?
No.
Yeah.
No siblings.
I don't know, man.
Also, we have more evidence to come. I mean, we are in the middle of the year, so this is the year of Reylo.
This is a year of indeed. Like, as more interviews
Just
come
the beginning, guys.
Yeah, as more interviews come in, we will get info for evidence, so it's gonna be fun. But I really like doing this. I think I really need a refreshment of what has been said about Reylo, and this kind of like little bits of validation that we've gotten from outside. And sometimes when you spend so much time inside the community, you kind of get your doubts that, oh wait, are we all just like delusional? Are we all just making this up in our heads, or like is there some like weight to this? And when you have validation from outside, the community, from the actual creators and the people working on it, then you get reassured, and you know that you are not alone basically, and that you're not making things up in your head, and it's a very cool feeling, and I really like that, and I'm really excited for the Rise of Skywalker and for Reylo to be canon, at least, as finally, like, more canon than it already is.
To get at Reylo kids, that is the goal.
Yep. So you have any final thoughts on this matter, or do you want to close off?
I just want to say I can wait for more Reylo evidence in this presser, because I've been realizing they're really pushing Reylo into the mainstream movie. So it's gonna be interesting what else they're gonna do in this presser.
Yeah. Totally. So before we go, we have, of course, the weekly or episodely recommendations of fanfics and songs. So today, Andy has a song for us, and Grisha has a fanfic for us. So, Andy, do you want to give us your song recommendation, your Reylo song recommendation for today?
Yes, my Reylo song that will be in our Reylo playlist is "June" by Florence and the Machine. And I was listening to this and one lyric from it just stood for me. Like I had to put this song in my personal Reylo playlist immediately. Is that in those heavy days in June, when love became an act of defiance, we hold on to each other. We were brokenhearted, and the world was too, and I was beginning to lose my grip. And I have always held it loosely, but this time I admit I felt it really start to slip.
Aww.
Lose my grip, act of defiance.
Yeah, I love
Same.
it. It is going into the playlist. Thank you for that beautiful recommendation. Grisha, do you have your fanfic?
Yes, my fanfic recommendation episode is called What Happens in Cantobite. And basically, the plot is Ray wake up in her Cantobite hotel room while on a mission for resistance, unable to remember a thing from the night before, which wouldn't be a problem if Kylo Ren hadn't woken beside her and they weren't both wearing rings on their fingers. Basically, a Vegas out Cantobite.
I love it.
It's very good, and it's already been finished, so you can binge watch
Binge read.
all the episodes.
Yes, please
Binge read.
think now. I want to read that. I haven't read fanfic in such a while, guys. I miss it, and I think that's gonna be the first one that I pick. So before we go, just remember that you can send us an email at reyloalliance@gmail.com. You can send us any comments, any questions, any recommendations. If you have a song that reminds you of Reylo, you can send it to us there. Or your fanfic recommendations or any recommendations for a topic for a future episode. And you can also hit us up at Twitter. We're on Twitter as Reylo Alliance, and send us a tweet anytime you want. And don't forget to follow us and give a like to our tweets. And so, like, whatever you want to interact with us, we always appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for supporting. We reached 500 followers recently, and that felt amazing. So really, thank you for listening to the podcast. We appreciate your support, and so I have nothing else to add. Just thank you, and we will see each other in the next episode. I hope you have fun, and thank you guys so much. Do you want to say goodbye?
Bye, guys.
Bye, bye.
And I was beginning to lose my grip, and I have always held it loosely, but this time